Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot of fun here at the SPL. We're going to keep it going. Match number 3 out of 4 today. We've got my friend Tulford here. Nice new shirt, nice new watch. You're looking fresh today, man.
Thank you, man. I try so hard sometimes, you know?
Occasionally.
Every now and then I got to spoil myself.
You got to treat yourself. I appreciate that. And I appreciate this next upcoming match. SoaR versus ALG. We got to see Envy just destroy Enemy, much to the surprise of some people. Luminosity just destroy Randozos, much to the surprise of some people. And SoaR versus ALG. Well, we'll see what happens here. You think we're going to see any surprises here?
I think that it's going to be a battle of the jungles between these two, between Weekend and andinster. Both teams are doing pretty well for themselves, SoaR especially with 13 points. And Allegiance, they've definitely been able to make a name for themselves in this split. They found 2 wins and 1 split so far.
With that said, SoaR has really been, there's been a lot of jockeying for position in the North American SPL, but I think SoaR has really just solidified themselves as, if not the one of the best teams in North America, certainly looking like #1 to me. Continuing on into this game against ALG, how do you think ALG is going to fare against them? Do you think that they have a number here?
It's all about shutting down andinster, honestly, getting the momentum rolling early on, especially when you're Weekend. He wants to be able to look for those invades, potentially shut down andinster and get his own momentum rolling, especially with the performance that andinster had earlier this week and last week. It was an MVP performance from him the second week rather, with only 5 deaths over 4 games. And so far in his last set against Enemy, he has 0 deaths.
So right now, andinster taking the title away from Dimmy the Undying. We'll get to picks and bans and see if Andy can keep up his 0-death week here in week number 3 of the SPL. SoaR has first selection, but you were talking about Allegiance needing to find a pick to really shut down the jungle for SoaR. Where are they looking? What are they going for?
Allegiance, they're probably going to go for Susano for Weekend. That's going to be the game plan. Or maybe a Thor if Susano is banned, trying to shut that away from andinster, looking for the mobility probably between Stealth and Weekend.
Absolutely. The ban's coming out. Guan Yu going to be the ban for SoaR. I absolutely agree with banning the Guan Yu. I think Guan Yu is one of the characters that can change the course of a game single-handedly, a little bit more so than some of the other standard bans that we see coming out. Allegiance don't want to play against a new Terra. They saw what Jigz was able to do. Jigz and Metyankey obliterated Enemy's duo lane, and I think that's being polite to Enemy's duo lane early this week. It was the first time we got to see Freya, or Terra, excuse me. It was the first game that we got to see Terra played, and within 2 minutes, Panicat had 2 deaths, and there was nothing that Enemy could really do about it. So, not looking for a repeat. Allegiance banned out both supports, Terra and Fafnir. SoaR go the way of Guan Yu and Ratatasker, so they don't want Weekend being able to keep up with Andy, like you were mentioning. The first pick for SoaR, it's going to be, do you expect the jungle Thor or something else?
Nemesis is available at Susano. A lot of jungle options with Thor, Susano, and Nemesis. That's going to be taken right off the bat. Allegiance now, they can hold on to their jungle pick. They don't need to commit to it right here. They need to have a really good option for mid lane just to survive against the all-in dive from andinster.
You know, seeing that Nemesis was available, I know how much SoaR hates Nemesis. I mean, Jigz the other day tweeted, just remove Nemesis,
just
please.
Remove Nemesis.
He does not like this character, so I'm sure he has no qualms with it being on his own team. Allegiance looking to respond to Nemesis. Now, Nemesis, I like the Susano pick, because you mentioned from minute 1, watch out, and it's going to be up to Weekend to keep up with what andinster can do. Susano can certainly be mobile enough to keep up with Nemesis, especially if he's helped out by the Janus.
The fact that Allegiance picked up Susano there before the second ban phase right off the bat means that they're afraid that SoaR will either run Nemesis or Susano in the solo lane to be taken away, and it's going to be Baskin in the solo lane. Well, with the Nemesis pickup, right, that's clearly going to be jungle for andinster, right? So why would you want to pick Susano right off the bat unless you're worried that Baskin will either play Nemesis or Susano?
Well, it could be banned out, right? I mean, you can just ban it.
Well, you could pick it right here. This is the spot that Allegiance could pick it. They could have opted to go for a Garden if they wanted to, maybe go for Bacchus themselves, but now SoaR are going to have that option of going to Bacchus.
So SoaR have the Bacchus-Nemesis combination, which has been devastating all split. And despite the fact that we've seen some teams sort of drift away from it in favor of newer characters and newer compositions, at the end of the day, knock up into 50% damage and a bunch of protection strip is still very good. So SoaR going to stick to the old guns, and Legion's going to go with Kumbhakarna, which is a character that this squad specifically really likes.
Incon playing the Guardian role definitely prefers the Kumbhakarna, especially with stealth being the Janus here. You want to be able to have as much frontline control to allow him to just throw out those unstable vortexes uncontested.
Bans out from Team Allegiance. No Raijin, no Rama, so they just don't like the letter R. Just kidding. A lot of bursts from these characters specifically combined with Bacchus really well. Even the Ram we've seen combined with the Nemesis Bacchus combo. The ult into the shots down from the sky can be really powerful. Amaterasu and Raven banned out by SoaR. They're a little bit afraid of the solo lane. And Allegiance. I saw a couple of people in chat asking about this character specifically. It seemed like for a week and a half, Erlang Shen, top pick, top ban, watch out, can't avoid him. And then like that, he was gone. Where'd he go, and why is Allegiance back to him?
It's just, you want to go a tanky option in the solo lane sometimes, but knowing Cope and Weaken, their style is to be super aggressive together, so this is why they're picking this kind of double assassin. And with the dog passive and having Death Toll, this allows you to keep being aggressive in the early laning phase.
Vamana will be the opposition for Erlang Shen, so certainly going to have to keep an eye on that. Jing will be the hunter of choice for Venenu today. A player that I've really enjoyed keeping an eye on. Venenu has steadily improved. He hasn't shot up to be the #1 hunter in the world, and that's okay. He's steadily improving next to his team, and he's been a pleasure to watch. However, he'll be going up against SoaR Gaming, and Metyankey will be piloting, well, it's either the Soul or the Chronos. Could go either way. Snoopy going to be on one, Met going to be on the other. And they'll be greeted with the Jing Kumbhakarna lane.
This is interesting that they picked up the Chronos going against Incon on Kumbhakarna. The Mez does reduce the attack speed. And I was about to mention, there's a lot of attack speed on the side of SoaR with this Nemesis also.
Nemesis, Vamana, Chronos, and Soul?
I expect some Witchblades maybe, some Guardian Mills maybe.
Yes, all of the above. That's 4 basic attack characters. Vamana, Nemesis, and the Soul Chronos. All 4 of them deal with basic attacks. Now, Allegiance can counter build, they can play against it, but SoaR can always just outplay, right? That's the idea here. SoaR, they picked these 4 basic attackers. Allegiance right now have to be thinking Witchblades, etc. We'll see how SoaR respond.
I think SoaR, they're relying on their aggressive 3v3 composition already. Bacchus, Chronos, Nemesis, whoever Jigz belly flops on, there's going to be an immediate response with an ultimate from andinster, and then the time stop, time rift combination from Snoopy.
Nothing out of the ordinary from either team as far as the invade situation, or lack thereof, rather. Neither situation on the solo lane really is necessarily dangerous composition.
Which is surprising considering that Weaken and Cope are playing these double assassins. They could have opted to try to take advantage of the early game Vamana, which is not the strongest at level 1 or level 2, but grouping up together in the solo lane, just trying to shut down the Vamana and rotate for these Fire Giant Elementals instead.
You know, SoaR here, I'm going to go ahead and take these right-hand Harpies. They're going up against you. Ooh, just one. Legion's will be able to snag the other.
And the problem was because the fact that there's a rotation from Cope for those Fire Giant Elementals, you don't want to potentially fight into the rotation and fight 2v3.
There's the jump onto Venenu, and that's the beauty of Jing. She's going to be able to respond to Jigz' knock-up in kind with a little bit of agility herself, so nice little counterplay out of the Allegiance Hunter. Snoopy taking a lot of poke, able to avoid the nonsense out of MLC Stealth there, though. And that's a player we haven't really spoken about. MLC Stealth on the Janus. I like the selection. Allegiance are going to get aggressive here. Weaken trying to guard his mid laner, and he'll do so successfully. Allegiance able to snag a little bit, but it looks like SoaR Gaming able to get the big one.
It looks like, although Allegiance, they're still putting a lot of pressure onto SoaR. This is going to be a good opportunity for SoaR to try to zone out Weaken, but at the same time, Snoopy has to be careful.
Not too much just yet.
I thought that Weaken would have potentially found the pull and some more damage, because if the pull can easily set up the portal from MLC Stealth, and then as a Chronos in the early game, you have to really be careful.
That's exactly what I was waiting for. I was just waiting for that. Again, knowing Weaken, how aggressive he is. Looking at Cope, though, let's take a travel over to the solo lane real quick. Cope versus Baskin. These are, this is one of the more lopsided matchups in my mind here. Baskin, we've spoken countless hours about this player, one of the best, if not the best. Cope, on the other hand, rookie player, rookie split. This is his 3rd week of SPL, and in fact, he's been playing Smite a lot less a lot shorter than a lot of the other players here. And unfortunately for himself at Allegiance, totally it kind of shows. He's been kind of lackluster this split.
Well, he hasn't been lackluster with the Erlang Shen, which is why he prefers this guy to look for the boxing opportunities. Against Vamana, definitely don't really want to be looking for the boxing. So you're trying to control the laning phase by poking out Baskin and then look for the rotation from Weaken.
Instead, it's going to be the rotation from SoaR. Snoopy and Andy going to combine for the right side elementals. You can see Baskin getting a little bit of farm there as well, just hanging out on the side.
And now the power play is for Weaken though, because he already back for the Warrior Tabby. These speed buffs are respawning, and already andinster, he hasn't backed yet. He's still sitting on Tabby 1.
So Weaken needs to make a play, whether it's the right side or the left side. What are you thinking?
Well, it looks like he's going to the left. He spotted the fact that andinster did back to base, instantly rotating for this red buff. Jing was able to outpush in the duo lane, and this rotation from stealth.
Nice play out of Allegiance. Just heavy awareness, keeping very much attention to andinster, and keeping that in mind. SoaR make the rotation, and Weaken's going to force it. A lot of damage going on to Metyankey, and MLC Stealth follows it up with the ultimate. Great play to put Allegiance on the board at first. Jigz in some trouble as well, able to jump away, but the damage has been done. First blood, red buff, and give me your piggies. Allegiance going to capitalize and strip the left jungle away from SoaR.
This is the Weaken we know, looking for the aggressive plays. He had the advantage by getting Tabby 3 first before andinster, grabbing the red buff, and then instantly trapping Metyankey. He couldn't even disapparate before through space and time completely wrecked him.
And we're going to come over here to the mid lane now. Incon and Weaken guarding out MLC Stealth again. What a perfect ultimate to really secure the first blood. Very well combined with Weaken there. Right side Harpies go to SoaR. Left side will be Allegiances. And Andy going to dash. You can see the how quickly SoaR want to deal with this right side jungle just to make sure Allegiance
I like the
can't do it again.
positioning from andinster, just to try to be able to share that experience and gold from Baskin doing the blue buff. And there's not going to be a slowdown from Weaken with this kind of aggression. He's going to continue it on, especially with Venenu now hitting level 7. He has the red buff stealth with his own red buff, so more than likely Weaken is going to continue rotating in this duo lane, trying to make sure Metyankey doesn't get into that mid to late game form on the Soul.
Yeah, Weaken's already dialed up the tempo, and we just want to keep it that way. They want to keep this high aggressive play style going so that nobody can really get their feet underneath them on the side of SoaR. Cope battling it out with Baskin, but the rotation out of Andy, there's the ultimate. Cope in so much trouble, and the boomerang gonna get the kill. Baskin able to answer back for SoaR. Weaken looking for the kill on the solo laner, but he'll answer back with an ultimate, and Baskin will be fine. But here's a big rotation out of Allegiance, knocked up, and the follow-up damage with the threshold, another knock-up into a portal. So much crowd control out of Allegiance, nowhere Baskin could go, and that's the second kill for ALG.
Just great usage of through space and time global. Have to be so careful in these side lanes, especially with Venenu already ahead from Metyankey, and now this time around Baskin. He was able to make a play onto Cope with addition of andinster, but they couldn't retreat fast enough.
MLC Stealth looks like we've seen, this is the split, this is the bounce back split, I'm going to call it. We're seeing so many players that sort of kind of, I don't want to say took a hiatus. We're seeing so many players that sort of plateaued, I would say. Return to former glory here. MLC Stealth looking very, very comfortable. And I think that's where his strength comes from.
It's all about whatever gods he's playing with, as long as he can find the frontline protection that he needs to throw out the abilities without having to worry too much about getting penetrated in the backline.
And he's, like I said, he has the comfort depending on his teammates, like you brought up, and his god pool as well. MLC Stealth has a unique god pool. It's not small, it's not big, it's just MLC Stealth. He's got the Kumbhakarna, he's got the Nox, he's got the Janus, which isn't all that strange in all honesty, but he's allowed to play what he wants, and he's allowed to play it how he wants, thanks to this new team that he's got here on ALG. And that's really been the push coming out from the entire team, not just for MLC, but for everybody, as Incon's playing his Kumbhakarna, and it's going to work out. I like watching this team.
And Allegiance just playing so well together, all of them rotating together, all for just those Fire Giant elementals, recognizing that andinster was lurking around the corner. He was thinking about maybe ganking Cope yet again, or looking for a speed buff invade. So now Allegiance, they're still looking for these plays, because I think their 3-3 is vastly superior to go for poke and then disengage with Weaken on the Susano.
Baskin, on the other hand, trying to get the 1v1 against Cope. And yeah, the 3v3 with Weekend MLC and Incon versus Andy, Snoopy, and Jigz. Andy, Snoopy, and Jigz can get a great all-in initiation, but Allegiance are definitely able to start the fight or spread the fight out a little bit better.
A nice little poke onto Incon, but definitely don't want to commit all your cooldowns on Kumbhakarna because of his passive. You have to confirm 8 more in-hands or so just to find the kill, and that's going to give you enough time for Allegiance to get some cleanup kills.
Teleport back from Cope here. He's down 1 kill to none here in the soul lane, but only 400 gold. It's rather impressive. A little bit of help from Weekend might be able to even this one up. Weekend hiding in the jungle, trying to make the play.
Baskin is low.
Realizes the rest of SoaR here to clean up the blue buff. Weekend just tries to get a little poke on the buff itself. Doesn't secure it. And we'll just walk back to safety.
Baskin, though, he's still going back into the lane with half health, not too much mana. He does have his ultimate, but a nice engage onto Weekend, all in. The knockup is going to get immune by the purification. He just walks away.
I mean, walk away, I think he got just barely getting out of there, just tensed every muscle in his body. And that's what happens when you get the Bacchus Nemesis combo. You can just get deleted.
But you have to have the confirmed damage. Snoopy, unfortunately, wasn't in position to do his damage that he needed to, and Weekend results in running away with 10% health or so.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind that the mid laner wasn't even there. And Weekend left with 15 HP.
If he was, all he needed was 1 time reft out of Snoopy to confirm the kill.
He needed a basic out of Snoopy to really kill it. Very close. Venenu taking Metyankey to the fight. Able to win that one really hard. 40% HP for Metyankey. Meanwhile, Venenu clean and clear.
1 level advantage. Does have the red buff Doom Orb available for Metyankey. Almost fully stacked, but after backing, does finish off Shoes of the Magi. And now Venenu, he could potentially rotate for some play after clearing this wave.
We'll see where he opts to go. Here comes the jungler to the left-hand side just to deal with Metyankey. Not really, or excuse me, Venenu. Not really looking for the gank. Comes up in front of the hunter just to say, hey, I'm here. Don't push on the tower. No big deal. Gold Fury going to be teased by ALG. Not pulled, just teased.
In the soul lane, though, Cope and Baskin dueling it out. Both ultimates still available, but Baskin has to be careful because a taunt into a turtle knockup can provide so much CC and a lot of confirmed damage immediately after.
And there's the big baby following up onto Cope, who did use the ultimate. There's a heal back from the red into the yellow. Baskin thinking about the dive, but as soon as he crosses that threshold of the tower, the ultimate ends, and that'll end Baskin's idea.
If he dives the tower, he has to be expecting that Stealth's going to throw out through space and time. Weekend with his mobility should be looking for the counter. That's exactly where he's positioning himself on the right side. He's expecting Baskin to still play aggressive.
Weekend's here, and Baskin is still kind of sticking to it. The pull with the ultimate down. Keep in mind, big baby not available. Cope gonna deal out the damage, and Baskin in trouble, but winds up getting away.
Beautiful dash away. And now the counter gank coming out of SoaR. Andinster looking for somebody. Not going to be in position to ulti onto Cope. Just running back into his tower through space and time a little bit off the mark, and it's going to scare SoaR away.
Very important play there out of Incon. A lot of times, just the following of the opponent is so important. If Incon doesn't show up there, all Incon does is literally root Andy. He doesn't do anything else. But the presence alone changes the fight on the right side and changes the fight in the mid. Everybody from SoaR goes and sees what's up with Baskin. Snoopy's all alone in mid, and that's where we see the knockup and the shutdown. 3 kills in total for Allegiance, and they're going to start the gold.
Immediately going to the gold fear. They have no fear. There's no Typhoon, though, to be able to knock up some members. They don't have much confirmed damage. Weekend trying to zone, but he's taking so much poke in return.
Nice portal out of MLC to deal with Metyankey for the moment, and the ultimate goes aggressively and doesn't hit the objective at all.
That was a beautiful portal by Stealth just to limit it, but hold that thought right side. Gonna get dove under the tower. The heal from the ultimate of Cope still buying him some time, though.
And that's perfect. That is exactly what you want to happen if you're ALG. Losing the tower may be a little bit much, but
I'm surprised that Metyankey didn't use Purification to avoid the portal from Stealth and then try to supernova the Gold Fear, or at least find some members out of Allegiance low enough to maybe chase down some kills. However, SoaR do respond back. They're able to bully Cope away and get a tier 1 tower for their troubles.
So SoaR playing on the back foot for what could be the first time all season against ALG, no less. You know, this was a lot of times there's This was not an even matchup coming into this game, I think we can say. And ALG are playing very strong.
I agree. For coming from the previous games, they were able to split against Luminosity, which is very impressive. They beat an enemy squad that is very discombobulated at the moment.
Yep.
And then obviously they beat against Rendozo. So I'd say their track record would favor SoaR with only having one split against Luminosity, winning every other game.
And Luminosity, with their last matchup, certainly looking like one of the stronger opponents available. So Allegiance really overperforming here, looking very strong. And what I like the most about Allegiance's performance here is that we're very early into this one. I acknowledge that, but sometimes as Cope getting caught out a little bit here, and that's going to be the issue as the game gets later, is Cope's performance here. Allegiance are making these plays that don't look like mistakes. They're not exactly SoaR dropping the ball. Weekend and MLC are actually they're just playing extremely well to start this game off very nicely for ALG.
Already 3 kills on Stealth. He's been able to make all these rotations and wait for Incon and Weekend to set him up. andinster, he's looking for something. If there's an overcommittal by Incon and Stealth, he can easily capitalize, even on Kumbhakarna.
Just looking for it. When it's not available, he'll dash away. And he's very good at that. You know, looking for a play and then deciding against it. Here comes Incon, though, looking towards the enemy red buff. We'll just look, as SoaR has too many members here on the left-hand side to make that aggressive play. That's a good discipline coming out from the Allegiance support.
Venenu, though, still spotting out andinster around the corner. Going to be able to continue his farm. He still has a 1-level lead above Metyankey. And the SoaR, he's going to have to build into this physical defense, going the Dynasty Plate Helmet, just to survive this aggressive weakened playstyle.
So SoaR right now, only 1 kill to their name. andinster on the Nemesis hasn't really been able to keep the pace of the game as quickly as Weekend. That's really been what Allegiance have been doing here, has just been setting up play and play and play and play, all from the jungle mid synergy. There's Incon getting ultimated by Andy, followed up with the knockup. MLC going to provide a little way out, but it's going to be the way in. Great play by SoaR's support, but it's all about Allegiance. MLC again with the double portal. Metyankey makes the rotation, is going to provide a little bit of distance, and that'll just stop the team fight.
Great survival from Snoopy this time around, finding the Sanctuary off of the epic uppercut from Incon. Nobody from Allegiance really in position to capitalize. So walking away, they didn't get the speed buff, but at the same time, no one dies for it.
Just a lot of good CC right there. You see MLC Stealth with a double portal to really stop SoaR from finding kills after an amazing knockup from Jigz. That was a situation where SoaR could have responded, but MLC stopped them, and then Allegiance could have taken the fight, but Jigz stopped them. It was just good support across the board for both teams.
And andinster was thinking about possibly looking for that speed buff. With Baskin being this low, doesn't really want to do it, especially with his own blue buff being available for the taking. You want to have this Vamana continue to stay in laning phase as long as possible up until he hits level 20. That's when you want to start forcing these team fights, because he's going to be chasing so many members down. He has the wing blade already.
Jigz by himself here in the mid lane, gets taken down to about half HP, but Allegiance, that's a very important play right there. They push down Jigz. It's what was that, 3 or 4 on 1? It was 3 players on 1, and they don't hard commit because they know that SoaR's coming. That's a very disciplined play. I think that could have easily gone a very raw way for SoaR. I think SoaR could have wound up getting 3 kills right there off of an overcommit.
Especially considering the fact that they left them at 33% health or so after all their abilities were already used. He could have easily found the counter belly flop, intoxicate combination, like you mentioned. The rest of SoaR would have capitalized off of it, which would get them back in the game.
So Allegiance showing some discipline here. This team is really, really maturing. And week 3, like I said, seems to be the week that a lot of teams are really coming together. We've seen what is it? Teams play 2 games a week, right? So we've seen 4 games on the big stage, 5 if you count earlier this week, and then of course the countless scrims that teams are playing throughout the regular season. 3 weeks, I think. A lot of teams are really coming together. SoaR did it last week, I think. LG did it this week. Allegiance looking really strong here as well.
And it looks like Allegiance are coming together for this goal fury as it's respawned. Cope trying to defend his tier 2 against Baskin. The teleport is not available for Baskin, so he has to start making his rotation to the left-hand side.
Jigz gets knocked up, looking for a stun onto Venenu, but it'll be canceled. Here comes Incon, and Jigz sees it, and runs away.
Venenu very carefully, not wanting to commit with his agility. He saw Snoopy right around the corner, and with Metyankey pushing out left, wants to get the farm, but look at this. Cope, he's forced into using his own ultimate just to survive the all-in from Andy.
But that's the call for Allegiance to start the Gold Fury. They see two players on the right side of the map, and Gold Fury already down to about 40% HP. Allegiance let go for the moment, but we'll grab it back and think about it twice. SoaR on the right side flank. Incon looking for something. Allegiance again with the discipline. I think you could have made the play for Gold Fury there, but playing it safe. Allegiance have a 2,000 gold lead, and they don't want to lose it anytime soon.
SoaR has to be very careful about leaving Snoopy left alone. That's the game plan for Allegiance, trying to commit and going all in onto that magical hunter in the mid lane.
You know, here we're seeing a careful game from Allegiance, and my question to you, Anatoly, is how careful is too careful? I would have liked to see that Gold Fury play. Maybe take the fight a little bit here or there. I acknowledge it would have been aggressive. But how careful is too careful? Is Allegiance putting themselves in a bad spot by being this cautious?
They're trying to see what they can get out of it, because that Gold Fury time was just trying to bait Snoopy out of position. They traded ultimates on the right side mid Harpies, the Nemesis ult for the Erlang Shen. But hold that thought, Gold Fury are going to be started up by SoaR. But once they see Incon, you cannot mess with the Kumbhakarna.
Nah, he's got the Mez, he's got pretty much everything available to him. And the Kumbhakarna, no Wrath, but still a little bit scary. And there's the ultimate out of MLC Stealth, bringing everybody from Allegiance local into the neighborhood.
Weekend just poking out Metyankey. Incon still looking, though, because the Disapparate is going to be down now. He could look for some Purification burn here.
And here comes Weekend on the right side as well. Metyankey going to avoid the root.
But force the Purification. Now Allegiance, they could easily force this team fight. One knock-up from the Typhoon could spell Metyanky's doom.
There's a teleport coming out of the Vamana as well. Trouble for Jigz. He's out of the fight, and Weekend going to be taken out by Metyankey.
Great combination. Now Cope trying to zone out two members, forcing the Purification from Snoopy, but Snoopy and Baskin leading the charge, trying to find two members on the left and two on the right.
And Snoopy dealing damage to Incon, combining with Metyankey. Able to bring the Kumba down to about half HP. SoaR now going to start the Gold Fury. Jigz on his way. SoaR will retreat. Just sort of kidding. They'll be looking at it, but everybody going their separate ways. SoaR Gaming now still 2,000 gold down. Nothing really has been able to be earned or gained. Incon gets chunked, and he'll be fine relatively.
I'm really surprised that Weekend died there without using either of his relics. The supernova damage could have easily been stopped by that Sanctuary that he has, and now as a result, andinster with a 2-level lead after invading that speed buff.
Oh, what a crafty play out of Andy, hiding behind the rock while Erlang Shen walks past.
And now Jig's going to pick up the blue, which is going to help him so well in his initiations, giving him the mana that he really needs to spam that chug, keeping his Drunkometer topped off, giving him more damage, more protections, and that's going to help Snoopy out at the long run.
Bacchus with a blue buff is every Bacchus' dream. Every Bacchus wants the blue buff, so you can just hit chug without having a bad feeling about it. ALG now again around the Gold Furies, looking more for the fight than the actual objective, it seems. There's the come forward from Weekend, chasing Andy back into the mid lane.
They could still make a play. The Purification is down on Metyankey. The relics are down onto the Jigz, so not going to have any teamfight relics.
Incon slows out Jigz, but it's just a little bit of pot shots coming here out of Venenu, out of the basics and the Gust.
Just trying to find the long shots onto Jigz, poking him out about 10 to 15% health now. Nothing too much at this point in time. Still feigning pressure on this Gold Fury. Baskin starting to rotate over.
How many waves has Venenu given up? I mean, he's able to stay relevant, obviously, level 18, but we've just seen him attacking this Gold Fury for no reason for what seems like forever.
Baskin gonna get rooted out. Snoopy looking for some follow-up, but has to be careful as Incon's thinking about aggressing. Left-hand side, Jigz in position with Metyankey to try to catch somebody on these left-side mid-harpies.
Not gonna be much of anybody. SoaR not coming out of position, and Incon forced to turn away as Metyankey shows up.
Nobody in position. I like the call. Stealth probably called Incon off because he was too far away to follow up, and Cope invading or getting his own speed buff currently.
Weekend gonna show up as well. Credit to Allegiance. Able to defend their own. Here comes Jigz, mezzed out by Incon, looping around his Cope. SoaR could collapse, but instead it's going to be Snoopy that Allegiance collapses on. Cope's in trouble in the jungle, but Snoopy's in trouble in the lane. Andy gets him, MLC gets him. One for each team as they collapse on each other.
Trading the soul laner for mid, however, definitely favors SoaR. Smaller respawn timer for Snoopy, and that's a big frontliner that you don't have now.
With that said, it's going to cut the Doom Orb in half. So certainly something you want to look at with respect to Snoopy in the mid lane. Jig's able to jump away from Incon's little dash forward, and Tier 1 tower being focused. Tier 1 tower taken down.
Baskin didn't rotate to try to defend that Tier 1 tower, and that's going to favor Allegiance quite heavily. They were fighting 4-on-3 in their favor, easily able to strip that tower away from SoaR.
So Allegiance maintains their 2,000 gold lead that they've had for pretty much the entire game. You can see right there, they had a very small 1,000 gold lead in about 10 minutes. They were able to stretch it for 2. Nothing too extravagant coming out of Allegiance. They're not making these giant plays. They're not wiping the enemy. They're not grabbing fire giants sneakily. They're just slowly finding kills and being able to get invades.
Well, with not stretching their lead and keeping at this point, it's allowing SoaR to still make it to the late game, and it's going to be a SoaR, Chronos, Vamana, Nemesis late game, which is so scary. And looking at the builds coming out of Allegiance, I don't see too much anti-attack speed quite yet.
No, first of all, yes, that is mind-boggling. I definitely want to see something at least out of Cope with a Witchblade. But with that in mind, Allegiance, they need to start making the big plays a little bit soon. Like you mentioned, the late game composition of SoaR, Snoopy and Metyankey are going to come to a point where they can just basic attack somebody down in a number of seconds. Allegiance have to be aware of that and realize that, you know, their composition is not in the same position as SoaR. So Allegiance need to make a big play. Where do you reckon that they go for it?
They're going to probably try to bait out Baskin by not rotating, it seems, for the most part, as we're going to see the Gold Fury being done. They're going to find the reset. Incon looking for a potential ultimate target, but not going to find it. Now he's very low, barely able to dash away.
Full reset out of the Gold Fury, and Snoopy trying to find the hit onto support. It won't happen, but Weekend is being towered over and taken down. Baskin evens up the kills with number 4 as he puts down Weekend.
And this time around, Baskin making the rotation before Cope, just now finally finishing the teleport. Gold Fury gonna get started by SoaR, and it's gonna be a few members from Allegiance forcing the reset, maybe.
Not quite just yet. Venenu, Cope, and MLC here in the zone. MLC with no ultimate available, and Gold Fury leashed as well. Venenu in trouble, and Venenu's dead. Baskin with another kill. 3-1-1. Cope has to run away, and he will. Incon is in the area. Gold Fury very low, and Gold Fury going to be taken. And that's all SoaR has to say about that one. That'll tie the game up nice and clean.
And they're still with a little bit of a power play. Venenu not responding for another 35 seconds, but the rest of SoaR, they're not grouping up quite yet. That Tier 1 mid tower, the mid lane was pushed out so far that it's at the Tier 2.
Just a clean plan of Allegiance. And like you said, all the minions over at the Tier 2 going to be a problem. But SoaR will be able to push that out, no problem. Incon and Baskin slowly try to get this speed buff.
Baskin could be in trouble, though. His ultimate's available, but he doesn't have his dash to get away. Weekend has a lot of mobility. And with this route, though, Jig's going to make sure that Baskin walks away.
Good play for the support on SoaR. Just helping out his solo lane.
Metyankey able to take out the left Tier 1 tower, extending the goal lead ever so slightly, now backing for the Obsidian Shard. This is where the damage really starts to get online for this soul. Once the Rod of Tahuti is complete after selling the starter item, that's when SoaR really wants to start fighting. Snoopy, on the other hand, he's still struggling a little bit with those 2 deaths. He's constantly having to refarm those Doom Orb stacks. He only has 4 items complete.
And this is where, like you said, for SoaR, things are turning up, but this is where things become an issue for Allegiance. The late game composition out of SoaR Gaming starts to be more of a problem, and still no build against the composition from SoaR. No Witchblades, no Runic Shields, no Midgardian Mails, nothing to really slow down the basic attack prowess out of SoaR Gaming.
Well, they're relying on Incon's Mez at the moment. That will reduce the attack speed quite heavily. I think it's about 35% or so, somewhere around there, give or take 5%. And looking at it, it's going to be 40% actually off of the Mighty Yawn.
All the way up to 50 right there, so a big slow, just depending on Incon's ability to hit pretty much everybody with the Yawn. But that's a big dependency.
You could be able to make a play right here. They are grouping up the members of SoaR. 4 members from Allegiance making their way as both soul laners just content at farming it right.
Here comes the aggression out of Incon, finds the knockup. It's going to be followed up by some damage, but Snoopy able to find his own sanctuary. to save him this time.
That's very important to poke out the Chronos during the Sanctuary, because now if the rewind happens, Snoopy's not going to get topped off, and this could allow Allegiance to keep playing aggressive, looking at Jigz and Snoopy's health bars.
Baskin get it back to base, or maybe not, as he's still pushing up high in that right-hand side against Cope. Jigz and Metyankey defending in the mid lane.
Ooh, that poke, though, from that Stellar Burst onto Incon and Weaken. That's going to actually allow them to defend this tier 2, because Allegiance, they kept wanting to itch forward and forward with Snoopy and Jigz being a little poked out, but that one Stellar Burst turns everything around.
And that's the power of SoaR, honestly. When it comes down to Chronos, we have this conversation on air a decent amount. And I tend to prefer the Chronos. I think Chronos could be more of a killing machine, and he honestly just has a little bit more flair in his kit for me personally. But when it comes down to the SoaR, she's great at playing defense against towers, better than Chronos, because she can just throw out that Stellar Burst. It's almost as wide as the whole lane. It's going to hit a bunch of players, do a bunch of damage, and just really keep you at bay. Very few characters can do that from a safe distance the way SoaR can, which makes her great at defending towers and Phoenixes specific.
Chronos, though, on the other hand, has really good player kill potential, though Baskin going to get pressured a little bit, going to find the cripple, but no one else really wants to follow up with Cope.
Yeah, there's a couple people here from Allegiance looking for the kill on the Baskin, but they quickly got distracted and headed towards the mid lane. And now SoaR going to come into the enemy jungle, looking for the fight around speed buff. Ultimate onto Weaken, and Incon going to ult Andy. Damage coming down, but not onto the Nemesis. It's going onto Incon. Jigz jumps on top, and speed buff will be pulled.
Already, andinster trading his ultimate for Incon
Nice
through space
shot.
and time, just chunking, forcing out the meditation, and now all of Allegiance, they're on the chase.
The sprint is popped to the SoaR. Somebody's looking for the stun, and it's not going to come the way of Jigz. Metyankey gets knocked up and in trouble. He'll find an exit on the south side, but MLC Stealth provides the portal and the shot. And Andy's going to be put down. Tied kills, 5-5.
Cope was doing a great job zoning two members of SoaR away from that team fight, allowing the rest of Allegiance to really isolate andinster. Weaken barely able to survive that. And now a 5-on-4 power play for 45 seconds for Allegiance.
And they're going to use that time to push down the right side tower. They've cleared out the minions, waiting to see where SoaR will respond. Incon doesn't want to tank this tower just yet, though. He's more, again, looking for the fight.
There's so much crowd control on the side of Allegiance, poking out Baskin. Jigz gonna find the knockout. Venenu deleted.
Just intoxicate out of the gate. Great damage out of Jigz with the boots of the Magi. That's going to allow the kill to go the way of SoaR. 6-5 right now.
No purification, no sanctuary even used by Venenu. Did not respect the follow-up damage from Jigz. Maybe he thought the intoxicate was down or something. So either way, that return kill should not have happened. Allegiance messed up their power play, and now as a response, SoaR, they're grouping up around this Gold Fury.
Yeah, I mean, what happened right there to Venenu, he died in the air. That's what makes Bacchus so incredibly terrifying, is that once he belly flops on you, if you're not able to hit your purification or your sanctuary before, while he's literally in the air, you're going to die.
Well, the thing is, he was using the burp, Jigz was, before the belly flop, and immediately after getting stunned, you're expecting that to happen. Weaken taking so much damage, just gone.
Snoopy on point with the small shot, able to find Weaken. Great play.
And that's going to allow the rest of SoaR to continue this Gold Fury. Now Venenu respawning. He does have his passive to try to contest. MLC Stealth, he has to find the hit.
No ultimate available for Janus. That's toast. Allegiance are going to not even watch. They're just nowhere here. Gold Fury going the way of SoaR, and that'll push them a little bit ahead in the lead. We had a tie game here after SoaR were able to take the 2K lead from Allegiance. Baskin getting collapsed on by ALG. But the ultimate is enough to chase him in the other direction.
Stealth went the wrong way, ran into andinster. Now the ultimate committing to all-inning him, and now andinster just double dashes down, but he's still pretty safe with a great zoning from Baskin.
And here comes the rest of SoaR right at the mid lane. This will be an easy tier 2 tower, 1,500 in the pockets of SoaR. And now they take the lead, they're running with it. 2,000 gold that Allegiance had was stripped, and it's gone in the other direction. A 7,000 gold swing, or about an 8,000 gold swing, excuse me, as SoaR leading by almost 6,000.
I'm sorry, SoaR doing such a great job of finding the picks that they need to. These last 3 picks were so crucial. Picking off Venenu first, then Weaken getting the Gold Fury, and now Stealth getting the tier 2 mid tower. This is what you really need to do to try to find your late game lead, so that way you can start going for the Fire Giant.
I like how Baskin is the one that buys the Witch Blade in this game. Said, all right, my entire team is going to be basic attack based. Allegiance, you haven't bought one. I'm going to buy it. How about that?
I mean, it's going to allow him to dive the Jing way more than anything else. That's what you really want to do onto this Vamana.
Cope building into what could be an interesting item.
It could be Runic Shield onto Cope. He wants to be able to survive the magic damage from Snoopy and Metyankey, as well as limit their attack speed. So not going for the Witchblade, but still going for the other option.
Yeah, and I'm fine. I'm fine with the Runic Shield over the Witchblade. Fire Giant half HP. Ultimate onto Venenu will chase him out, as well as the ultimate. SoaR gonna peel off the Fire Giant and just go directly for the kill. Cope finds a great turtle knockup, and he'll be fine. At least for now, underneath the tower.
Weakened though, he's split pushing in middle. He's expecting his team to hold this Fire Giant siege as the reset did happen. Now the rest of SoaR, they have to either give up this tier 2 tower or commit to the fire. So they're gonna try to defend.
Yeah, Weaken's already gone, shoving the wave into the tower. And that's enough to strip SoaR off the Fire Giant. So a good play coming out from Allegiance to call that. Baskin gonna get knocked up and take some poke from Venenu. That's all it'll be.
Has to be careful though, his ultimate just now coming back online. So he's going to be able to try to continue to be aggressive. The rest of SoaR though, they don't want to overextend too much because Allegiance, they still have options to try to look for picks of themselves. Incon can just set up so much crowd control between the Portal of Stealth, the knockup from Venenu, the pull from Weaken, and the cripple root from Cope.
A lot of different options available should they want to go ahead and push. 32 on the clock today. SoaR leading by 3 kills, 8-5. And after Allegiance had a small lead for the majority of the game, SoaR able to strip it away. And now up 5,000 gold, which is a nice little chunk of change for the guys on SoaR, looking for the win here against Allegiance. They're playing aggressive in the enemy jungle, stripping away the vision, thinking about their next play onto the Fire Giant.
Despite being up 5,000 gold, it's not really enough to force fire at this point in time. You have to be looking for the picks instead, and that's why SoaR, they're looking for these aggressive sentry wards to try to limit the vision from Allegiance, and that's why if SoaR even bait out the Fire Giant, Allegiance are going to have to overcommit, and somebody could be waiting on the backline to dive, and that somebody's going to be andinster.
And so it's just a whole bunch of hurry up and wait right now, and the problem with that is SoaR want to hurry up and wait, and we can see just how quickly we can get smoked. Incon going to respond with an ultimate, but it's defensive. Baskin looking for something, but Weaken's able to find the exit out. For every minute that goes by, Anatoly, SoaR are happier and happier with their late game comp. They have not a care in the world. Bring us to 40 minutes. Allegiance, on the other hand, they got to win soon. They got to take this soon.
Fire Giant at half health, Cope and Incon trying to disrupt it through space and time is used, and it connects on Yankee!
Just completely 100-0. MLC Stealth turns us into a 5-on-4. Snoopy collapsed on, and the Sanctuary is good for the moment, but Snoopy's going to get taken out by the ultimate out of Venenu. Here's more damage coming out onto SoaR Gaming, chasing out Jigz, half HP on the support. Baskin's here surrounded. He's doing a lot of damage to Allegiance, though. Couple of shots out of the Hunter, Incon trying to slow him down, and Venenu ties it 8-8.
MLC Stealth is the hero that Allegiance needed for that team fight, connecting onto Yankee, but they're not done yet. They're going to go onto andinster, buying a little bit of time with the Sanctuary, but he's completely surrounded.
And he gets the kill onto Venenu somehow. He'll be knocked up. Jigz shows up as well. MLC able to confirm the kill onto Andy, and Jigz the only one alive here. Allegiance very low are going to take the tier 1 tower.
4 for 1. They're going to grab tier 1 on right. They're going to continue to aggress. They have a large respawn timer. Snoopy coming up in 10 seconds or so. Metyankey now respawning, so it's going to be dependent on Jigz and Yankee holding this right side Phoenix.
I'm not sure if Allegiance goes to the Phoenix, in all honesty. Snoopy's going to be up in 4 seconds, and Allegiance will make the retreat. Still, not enough HP to even go for the Fire Giant, in all honesty. ALG just on the full retreat right there. Beautiful team play, and again, really, I mean, it wasn't even a fancy team fight. It was just MLC.
So poetic.
100-0 to Metyankey.
I thought it was going to connect onto Snoopy because he was rooted by Incon there for a second, and I didn't even see Metyankey behind him. Just unfortunate victim.
Just one long
collateral damage.
Now that's a snipe. That is a snipe.
Russian sniper approves.
Fantastic stuff out of ALG to go ahead and almost tie the game up. We're down almost 6,000, 7,000 gold now. Just 2K, or 1,000, which at this point in the game, just like 1,000 at 2 minutes, 3 minutes is a huge lead. 1,000 at 36 minutes is nothing. There's not a lead here. This one's all tied up, folks.
And now Runic Shield has been finished onto Cope, making it so much easier to dive both Snoopy and Yankee.
Thank you.
It bought him enough time that he needed to get that anti-attack speed item, now paired up with Incon's Mez. Just not going to do enough damage the way they were normally doing earlier in the game.
So is it just that the attack speed isn't really a concern earlier on in the game?
That could be potentially it. The abilities from Snoopy and Yankee just do a little bit too much.
Yeah.
You'd rather be building the health and a little bit of the anti-healing also from the Pestilence, trying to shut down Baskin.
As the game gets later and later, those basic attacks get a little scarier. So the traditional build coming out for the early game, and then when it comes late, Snoopy's able to hit you for 430 a shot. Well, that's when you got to really slow down his basic attack. So Allegiance waiting till the end, but making the right decision.
Both teams posturing, though, for the Fire Giant right now. Baskin on the left-hand side could potentially look for a flank underneath. Not going to look for it, though. Going to get pulled in instead and take some poke.
Yeah, Baskin's going to be fine. So Snoopy can't find the stun either. Incon going to get knocked up. There's the damage of the ultimate at MLC. Not going to find the target. And now Andy going to turn around looking for revenge. MLC force out to use the portal. There's the ultimate out of the Susano. Not going to find anyone either. A lot of inaccuracy here in this team fight.
Baskin zoning so well right now. Incon, though, caught in an awkward spot. 1v5 right now, though, but not going to be able to get knocked up during the root. Great job from Incon disengaging. So many cooldowns being exchanged for both teams, but SoaR, it looks like they're going to have to become a little healthy here. Baskin's low without his ultimate.
Yeah, it's another 5-on-5 as both teams sort of walk away after their botched engagement. Soul Reaver almost going to be online again. That's how we saw the kill out of MLC Stealth earlier on a Metyankey. That one shot, thanks to the Soul Reaver. So watch, he tried to do it again in that last team fight, but was off the money. This time around, watch for the ultimate. Fire Giant barely alive, 25% on it. SoaR kind of have control over it, but really, there's not a lot of control at all here on the right side of the map. Venenu forced out, Andy also forced out, pulled back by Weekend, and there goes the shot. MLC again provides the ultimate.
And the unstable vortex connecting onto Snoopy. He's rooted, he has nowhere to go except the graveyard. Now Metyankey, he got Jetstream. Cope is going to be able to chase this down. This is going to be 3 free kills for Legions.
13 for Legions. Certainly good luck this time around. Incon got his eye on the Phoenix. Turns around and says, hey guys,
this is over. This game is done. Like, they cannot defend. Baskin cannot defend alone. Even though there's 3 towers still remaining, this is late game form Allegiance. They should be able to grab this Titan.
You reckon it's going to be an all-in
This
here?
is an all-in. This is a
Incon's
weekend call.
low.
This is absolutely a weekend call to go all-in.
There's the pull on the basket. He activates the big baby, looking for the kill on the Incon. Portal's going to allow the Janus inside. Titan has 11,000 HP. Alita's got to deal with it in 20 seconds or less. Weekend ultimate, 7K on the Titan. Still dealing damage, controlling Baskin. Baskin shuts down the solo laner. 2K, Baskin shuts down 1. Baskin's gone, Titan's gone. ALG take out the top team. SoaR down a game.
MLC with the shots, Weekend with the calls at the end to end the game. Beautifully executed late game. They were making some good, small and steady plays in the early game, and they were able to really come back off of that one snipe.
What a great play! And honestly, you say that one snipe. That sort of play happened as soon as MLC Stealth bought the Soul Reaver. The whole strategy for ALG changed. ALG were looking for these small skirmishes. We saw a very careful plan of them. Then they started to lose and just kind of lose and lose, but it didn't get out of hand. 6K is the lead that you fight into that I always ask teams to go for, and they did.
They absolutely did. And I also thought that SoaR was going to do a better job in their little 3v3 skirmishes between Jigz on Bacchus, Snoopy on Chronos, and andinster on Nemesis. They couldn't really find those all-in targets that they wanted to because the only person they could have went on was Incon. But being Kumbhakarna with your passive sleepy time, you don't really want to try to commit on that.
And again, the careful play out of ALG in the mid-game really disallowed SoaR looking for that. SoaR wound up winning a couple of team fights and getting those engages. SoaR played a great game in the mid-game and the beginning of the late game. They had their eye on the prize with that late game composition. But again, MLC buys a Soul Reaver, lines up an ultimate, and just 100 to 0s Metyankey. Here it is right here. Look how far away he is. That's just... I don't want to call it
1592.
Ooh, and that right there changes the entire team fight. And right there, MLC goes, oh, oh, okay. And the next team fight, we see him do the same thing. The team fight's engaged, and MLC's on the right side. Now, he misses it that time, so the fight doesn't go Allegiance's way. But the follow-up, the third team fight, well, that's the one that won the game.
That's the one that matters. And with an aggressive call from Weekend at the end, calling for his boys to end it immediately after the right side things, despite there being 3 towers up, which makes the Titan that much stronger.
It was close, especially with the Vamana there. You know, a lot of times I think it could be very easy to say, hey, they got 40 seconds sleep and you go right on in. But with the Vamana, we saw Baskin was able to take down 2 separate players. It wasn't just all in and hit your buttons. You had to see the control. ALG dropping the portal underneath Baskin, dealing with him. Baskin still able to shut down 2 players. But the game goes in the direction of ALG. Picks it back.